So good evening, all of you joining us here in the office and all of you out there in Zoom land. We are squarely in the influence of Virgo this evening with the exact time of the new moon at 9:55 p.m. So not very far away at all. The keynote for Virgo is I am the mother and the child. I, God, I, matter, am. It's a powerful keynote. Embedded within the substance of our beings is a pendulum, which swings far out and away from our known universe and then swings right back again over the manifestations of our physical earth. We stand as observers of both worlds. It's a unique position. In Virgo, we straddle a point filled with the call of matter and the call of spirit. As an earth sign, the role of Virgo in the evolution of consciousness seems to be as a mediator of sorts. It calls us to be one who stands firmly on the fields of this physical planet, while also acting as a conduit for the finer substance of life, anchoring it within the boundaries of physical forms. This refinement of matter is a sacred responsibility, we're told. And we own it by virtue of owning a living body. It's a big ask, but we're not in this alone, because in Virgo, we learn that it is not this or that, black or white. Our lives are a combination of spirit and matter, matter and spirit, always playing within the other's territory. Yet Virgo is a practical presence, and its ability to merge with our everyday lives is a part of its great power. Let's first establish our unity as a group by using the mantra of unification. The sons of men are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all men love. Virgo, then, is an energy of duality. It is both matter and spirit. The keynote, as we said, states, I, God, I, matter, am. As a soul in human form, what should we take from this? Is it just a statement of fact, or is it an invitation to explore and embrace our deeper physiology? We've made incredible strides in the past 100 years when it comes to understanding the human body, and we're pretty well mapped out at this point from the physical point of view. The brilliance of our body's makeup is inspiring and humbling. The nervous system, the endocrine system, the circulatory system, all the systems are woven into and out of each other with elegance. But if the Virgo keynote is alive within us, there is more to uncover. And there's a kind of perception with which to see it. Connected to the physical manifestation of our bodies is its energetic point of genesis. This point is stepped down many times before it reaches our human forms, beginning with an origin, a spark of light within a moment. That point of light which has captured humanity's imaginations forever, it seems. From there, it moves to the soul, which steps it down further to the mental body, the emotional body, and then finally to the etheric body. And it is the etheric body which is the immediate point of intersection with the soul in incarnation, the physical presence known as you and me. Almost as proof of the existence of what we call God, our human physiology provides points of intersection with the energy of the etheric body, which can sweep in to inform all aspects of our physical selves. We are purposefully wired to be a creation of two worlds. One world being the world of living spirit, and the other, the world of living matter. This truth that there is actually a system of receptors embedded in the human form, enabling the entrance of non-physical energy, has been intellectually pursued for many, many thousands of years. And today, the system of 7 chakras has become an accepted fact for many and lies at the center of many spiritual traditions. The purpose of this system seems to be the elevation of physical matter. When a non-physical energy enters into the human form through these 7 gateways, we are, body, mind, and emotions, raised upwards. We start the process of refining our substance, which in turn makes us more receptive to soul impulse and intention. Once this process starts, it goes on and will, we're told, lead us eventually back to our true north, that original Genesis. But that return is a long journey off, and for now, our soul is content to see us through the process of exchanging dense physical atoms for those which better reflect the light of origin. So none of this is really news, but it leads us to another kind of intersection between spirit and matter. This other intersection is largely unexplored, but has been recognized and utilized by humans for many, many years. This is the fact of magnetism. We've all heard the term magnetic attraction. This is a mainly physical attraction, which science has learned can be triggered by hormones, eye color, pitch of voice, and other physical characteristics. But what we're discussing here is something a few steps further on. It is the concept of a spiritual magnetism, a force of light, which can extend out from the body. There's a quote in the Agni Yoga book, Heart, which goes like this. When two stand together, heart to heart, a great power of healing is created. The magnet of the hearts, when united, can perform miracles. Such a union can neutralize many ailments and set the rhythm of health. We're told that a long time ago, this was standard knowledge. The fact of a field of influence originating from the heart was everyday common sense in many traditions. But as the workings of the human body came under the eye of the physical sciences, much of this intuitive kind of knowledge was lost. So, what did science learn? Science learned that the first organ which develops at conception is the heart. The second organ which develops is the brain. Those who study esoteric science might say that there is a spiritual reason for this, as we know that these two organs, when working in tandem, give the soul a landing place in the physical form. Purified and merged together, they constitute a usable focal point for the incoming light of the soul through the centers. Science has also learned that both of these structures have a strong electromagnetic presence. Of the two, the heart has the greatest electromagnetic presence, which can be measured by sensitive instruments to extend out many feet from the body. If this is so, then, as the quote suggests, there is an extension of energy moving between living forms. You've likely heard about the concept of entrainment. Entrainment as a scientific process is an act of the synchronization of rhythms. It can affect living organisms as well as inanimate objects. The first recorded experiment in the 1600s had to do with a room full of pendulum clocks, which were observed to entrain to the same rhythm after a relatively short period of time. Jump ahead to just 50 years ago, where another experiment was run involving two living heart cells placed side by side, yet separated by the walls of the glass dishes they were in. At first, the two cells beat chaotically, completely independent of the other, but eventually they began beating in sync. They had entrained one to the other. So let's take this concept of entrainment and apply it to the quote from Hart. Two people standing close, impacting each other's heart and mind rhythms, is an example of the fact of entrainment, but because it is conscious, deliberate, and made of higher intent, it becomes something a bit different. Spiritual magnetism. Magnetism uses an acquired magnetic force to impact surroundings. As we proceed on our spiritual paths, we are, a little at a time, allowing a more refined life force to enter via the energy centers built into our bodies. A little at a time, we draw the substance of ourselves into a lighter state, which has the effect of creating an ever-strengthening vortex of energy. This vortex, this magnetism, then becomes part of our physical presence and is constantly strengthened by the heart and mind, jointly tuned to a higher purpose. Simply, we take to ourselves a progressively higher blend of soul intent, which, when merged with human physiology, produces an electrical aura, magnetism. The qualities of love and compassion expressed through an individual's magnetism are expressed to the degree to which the heart and brain, love and intelligence have been pierced through by the soul's energy. We can never lose sight of the fact that it is our purposeful pursuit of the lighted soul which enables that flow of soul to enter in. But of what everyday use is all this? What might this bring to us as we navigate the intricacies of a normal daily life? Well, the Blue Book share that magnetism's general presence will help to align individuals as well as groups of souls, bringing them to a higher, finer perception. It allows individuals to be conduits for a spiritual energy which fosters healing and a search for higher understanding. The Christ was known to have a radiant and far-reaching magnetism. The energy which went before him, after him, and remained around him was an epic expression of the magnetism created when a soul has infused the body with its essence. His very atoms were in perfect sync and were extending out to the environment around him, where he was having a natural and spontaneous effect on all matter. We are not quite there yet, but once we have started the process of taking this enhanced light into our bodies by way of the provided channels, we can and do impact our surroundings every day. Let's go back to that quote from Agni Yoga. It used to be known that holding another close heart to heart was a form of healing. That quote goes on to say, now this remedy is almost forgotten, but it is no less powerful than a blood transfusion, for the subtlest of energies is transmitted by the action of the heart. So, is the power of magnetism informed by the physical plane law of entrainment, possible medicine of the future, as it once was in the past? The electromagnetic waves emitted by mind and heart are of very real consequence. As creatures of electrical origin, humans can use their storehouse of higher frequency to the benefit of others. Even from our beginner standpoint, we might be surprised at what we can orchestrate on behalf of others as our intentions align with our soul's presence and our field of impact grows stronger. This is a story told to me by a woman who has been a longtime student of the books and has also practiced some form of meditation for 40 years. A few years ago, her mother developed dementia. Over time, her mother's ability to stay centered and cognizant in time and space was lost. To battle this consequence, this woman said that during the times they were together, she just engulfed her mother in a wave of straightforward, non-emotional love. It was just a natural extending out to a loved one, mixed with a deliberate ignoring of any barriers posed by the impact of the disease. The result was that when they were together, mother and daughter, her mother fully recognized her, she could focus, and they could talk coherently together. The woman who shared the story said that she didn't really focus much on any mechanism of connection at the time, but realizes now that she believes she was entraining her mind to her mother's by way of heart and its fledgling magnetism. There are likely thousands of people out there who have had or are having the same experience. They are using, mostly unconsciously, magnetic attraction mixed with the physical law of entrainment to produce the miracles of the present and the future. The time for consciously impacting our world through the magnetic power of the heart and mind is here now. As with the Christ, we extend our magnetism everywhere we go, having an impact on all matter nearby. Though our impacts may be short and fleeting, we should begin to walk with the knowing that this is a living phenomenon. The book Heart states, we must attain the stage where we radiate light from our innermost being, for it is then that we are true co-workers with the higher worlds. Radiating the light of grace, we are at the same time doctors, creators, protectors. As we search for true north, we are not traveling unaided. Our bodies carry homing devices which are tuned to the very destination we seek. We must turn them on by igniting our desire to appropriate the mechanics of passage. And then, as we fly, we will begin to impact our surroundings. At first, one life at a time, and then likely many lives at a time in ways large and small. Flying true, we will be guided by the knowing that though we are matter, that elegant matter carries the inspired light of our Genesis within it. So now, let's move into our meditation, strengthening the hands with a new group of world servers. Group fusion. I am one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. May the love which is in my soul pour forth to them. May the strength which is in me lift and aid them. May the thoughts which my soul creates reach and encourage them. Alignment. We recognize our place as a group within the heart center of the group, world servers. And we mentally extend a line of lighted energy towards the spiritual hierarchy, the planetary heart center, and then on to the Christ, heart of love within the hierarchy, towards Shambhala, where the will of God is known. Higher interlude. We hold the mind focused for a few moments on the planetary role of the group of world servers mediating between hierarchy and humanity, responding to a hierarchical impression and meditating the plan into existence. meditation. We reflect on the seed thought. Through the impression and expression of certain great ideas, humanity must be brought to the understanding of the fundamental ideals which will govern the new age. This is the major task of the group of world servers. Precipitation, Visualize the precipitation of the will to good, essential love throughout the planet. From Shambhala through the planetary heart, the hierarchy, through the Christ, the group of world servers, through all men and women of goodwill everywhere in the world, and finally through the hearts and minds of the whole human family. Lower interlude. Consider the many ways in which the power of the one life and the love of the one soul are working out in the world through members of the group of world servers, so building a thought form of solution to world problems. distribution. As the great invocation is sounded, visualize the irradiation of human consciousness with light and love and power. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forward into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forward into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of light and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Oh, oh. Oh, oh. Thank you, everyone. We do have a little bit of time left here for a little discussion. Anyone has any comments or thoughts? We'd certainly love to hear them.
I was thinking about your comments about sort of the symbolism of the human body. And it reminded me of and its meaning in terms of, God's plan or the purpose for humanity and God's plan. And I was reminded of that symbol that was created by Michelangelo that got sent up into space. The human.
Vitruvian.
Yes, because because I was thinking, regardless of language, the symbolism of the human body for any initiate in any other world could look at it and learn a lot about us just by looking at the way our body's formed, that we have eyes, ears, nose, mouth, all on this globe sitting on top of a neck, and that we have 2 arms and 2 legs, and they purposely drew it like a star, which I thought was interesting, So I've often reflected on that to just sort of refresh my mind about what is the purpose of us humans in this grand scheme, and what are we here to do in relationship to the other kingdoms and on this planet. So yeah, that was one thing that came up. And then another thing, when you were talking about entrainment, I was instantly, what flashed in my mind was a picture of when we go to hug people, we always press heart to heart. So it's like we're trying to gather somebody close to our heart and make a connection, literally heart to heart when we hug. So there's, symbolism in that too. There's lots, you can just keep going on and on with all kinds of symbolism of that, of the body.
And at the same time, it's all, it has a very physical, active counterpart. It's not just symbolic, it also, there's an impact in the physical world,
Right.
so it's truly amazing.
One more thing, I was reminded of the story that people have been talking about, like twins that were born when one was ill,
Mhm.
and they put the ill twin next to the healthy twin right after birth. And sometimes just being in the proximity of the healthy twin's aura or physical body, it's helped the ill twin to entrain and
Yeah.
come through that initial rough start. So yeah, I mean, just so many ways you can think about those ideas and see them manifesting in the world.
They are manifesting in the world every day. I mean, going back hundreds and hundreds of years, this has been going on. It's just, it's not always discussed. It's certainly not really a part of Western medicine, though I think we're starting to go down that road. I think we are. But to merge with the old with the new, Agni Yoga kind of represents the old. It's a reminder, though, of things we may have forgotten. And then the new, of course, is our new science, which is phenomenal in what it is discovering. And when you put the two together, you come up with a new kind of interaction between humans and between living things that just redefines everything.
There's a hand raised here from Eduardo. Do you want to go to that one?
Yes, let's.
Okay. Eduardo.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Jen. Hello, everyone. That was so wonderful. Thank you for sharing such profound thoughts. What you mentioned about the law of entrainment reminds me of another word commonly used today, but with a long philosophical history. We call it sympathy. And it was a term used by ancient Stoic philosophers to refer to that universal network that connects everything within the cosmos and allows for resonance between its parts. So the concept of entraining sounds very musical, as a matter of fact. We even know that certain strings can vibrate by sympathy. While you were speaking, I imagined several musicians playing a certain kind of tuning into each other naturally occurs as a natural consequence of creating music together. Some sort of surrounding magnetism is produced along with a refinement of one's internal compass, as you put it. So in the end, this is what makes a performance feel special and reach the heart of an audience. And even technically perfect musicians may lack this capacity for entrainment, as if something was missing. And this is a living phenomenon, as you mentioned. And I wonder how much a group of trained healers could accomplish through a conscious use of magnetism. Thanks so much.
Eduardo, that was wonderful. Thank you for all those incredible comments. I mean, connecting it to music, that concept of entrainment, that what is it called? Sympathetic resonance, I think is what is the term you may have been referring to. It is entrainment, I think, but sympathetic resonance, it adds that element of sympathy, which is a higher emotion, a higher sensibility. And that's what turns it from entrainment into magnetism. It's just kind of a couple steps above entrainment. Clocks entrain, but people do something more. Yeah.
Another hand from Maja.
Yes, hi. I think that one of the things I've been thinking about a lot is that really matter and spirit and soul are really complements, not opposites. I mean, often in, spiritual circles, people talk about matter as being an obstacle to be overcome. And I'm learning and understanding that that's not so. They're really complements and partners, colleagues in terms of embodying light and love. And that seemed to me part of the heart of the meditation and sign of Virgo. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yes, thank you for saying that. I do think that matter has gotten a bad rap over the years. So, I mean, we're here and we're in it, and we're not so bad. We're refining ourselves a little at a time, and that's the whole point. So, whatever great cosmic scheme we are part of, I think to think of our home bodies as lighted is a much better approach than thinking of them as lacking in some of the finer spiritual qualities. It's all there. It all comes together. And that's what Virgo is about. It's like, remember where you came from. I God, I matter, am. Bring the God into the matter. Bring the God into the matter.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jen. One of the things that I think of when I think of finding true north and the energies of the sign of Virgo is that it's about alignment, of course. And alignment, I think in Virgo, the Tibetan relates Virgo to the higher mind. And when we look at the Sphinx and the fact that esoterically, Leo and Virgo are still one sign according to TK, and that was embodied in a Sphinx. So it is like the matter aspect and the higher mind aspect. So he equates them to higher and lower mind. And so this sign is really a sign of bridging those two aspects of ourselves through the medium of the Antakarana bridge, So I think that this idea of entrapment, as you know, of course, extends beyond the horizontal aspect of it. But of course, as Eduardo was saying, and as we know, our work at the full moon and the new moon is to build an alignment between the higher energies and then distribute them horizontally. So at these times in this spiritual month, we have the opportunity to reach out and connect with hierarchy. And hierarchy is concerned with entraining humanity, through that heart vehicle. And so, and then through hierarchy, the alignment is made on and on to higher levels, like steps on a ladder, rungs on a ladder. And so we're all working as best we can to entrain ourselves to be receptive to these higher energies of the heart and mind and bring them through into manifestation in our world, and then to help us, we entrain the animal kingdom, and we also have an influence on the 3 lower kingdoms. So entrainment works in a lot of different ways.
It sure does. Thanks, Kathleen.
Yeah, I mean, one of the fundamentals, this is going back sort of the Tibetan, but pretty all serious systems of Raja Yoga, I think, hold to the same idea that meditation is fundamentally about, a very fundamental definition is alignment with the ego or alignment with the self, alignment with the soul. And so that is often thought of as through the establishing of a sympathetic vibration with that higher self or true self. So yeah, as you say, Kathy, I think it's fundamental to, and it goes back to, I think it was Maja was saying about, spirit and matter not really being opposites in one sense, which is, I think, true. But I think you can't just throw that out, because there is one angle in which that is true as well. And so it's, how do we resolve what are apparent paradoxes? How can spirit and matter be opposite ends of one pole, and yet in manifestation they're so entirely intertwined? And so to really unravel these mysteries, we can't just choose one or the other. We have to figure out, okay, what is the truth behind both of those opposites? What does that say about, for instance, redemption? esotericism is the whole science of redemption. So what does that mean, that manifestation, that our conscious existence is a union of two opposites? You know, what does that say for our for 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 our redemptive imperative behind human living? You know, how do we fulfill on that? I think is a lot of underlay this whole theme of, and for me, that's what I was reading into this whole theme of magnetism and the expression of magnetism is how does that relate and bridge and everything you said. Thank you, Jen. That's great. Yes.
Magnetism is the bridge.
We do have one more hand if you'd like to go there. David Trice.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, David.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to share some of the Tibetans said that I keep in mind in my daily life when I meet people that souls are aware of each other on the plane of the soul. And the Tibetans said that to aid the souls that demand their cry for help, or a cry for help, the personality. And I try to keep this in mind, thinking not for myself, but for the soul to soul help and healing that's needed in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Wonderful comment. Wonderful.
It's also, just to say that this, when we look at the rulership of Virgo by Mercury, we can see its close relationship to humanity, because humanity is considered within the planetary chain of being the Mercury element. So we are effectively the bridge between all the kingdoms of nature on our planet. And if humanity is out of alignment, so too is the whole divine circulatory flow of energies. And so in Virgo, that precise nature of the sign and the precise nature of Mercury is an opportunity to clear perhaps some of the myths and glamours that preclude us from becoming that planetary Mercury. And there's a clarity of perception that's available to us at this time. So it's a good opportunity to bridge these diverse parts.
I was thinking about that in terms of like Virgo being, this idea of soul manifested within matter. When you think of that higher understanding of what the soul is, when you're no longer identified with the personality and there's no you that exists per se, it's just how much of God's will can be manifest through the form, which is made up of lives that are sacrificing themselves in service to the plan. And so what we call ourselves, any one of us, is really just an organized, like a corporation of lives all trying to serve that purpose, labeled the Jen Corporation or Kathy Corporation or the Michael, but that it's all really, the will of God, that the soul is as much of that will that can function and serve that purpose. Like, in terms of higher mind, intuition, and Taparana, the whole, what is the reason of being of these individual units. So yeah, it's very, very inspiring that way.
And when these corporations come together, they can rule the world.
Right. Interlocking directorates.
Too much further, please.
Interlocking directorates, it's like boards
of directors.
yes, all conspiring to take back the world.
Just one more thing, if we have a second. I just want to acknowledge like one other really beautiful theme, which wasn't you never said it precisely in these terms, but it was really strong throughout, is the importance today, spiritually, and I think, socially as well, of the divine feminine, the role that plays in Virgo and and the redemptive process, you know, esoteric, spiritual, and mundane. It's like what it's almost in one sense this ideal of the divine woman or the divine feminine as the sort of invisible server behind the scenes, because it's hierarchical, esoterically at least, the vehicle always becomes the first aspect for the next lowest kingdom. So whereas humanity is the vehicle for hierarchy, for spiritual energies, we become that the father aspect for the lower kingdoms of nature, who in turn become, you know, the lives actually for much smaller elemental existences. And so in one sense you have this sense of the feminine woven within, but also sort of silently serving sacrificially behind within the father. It's this great marriage song, sort of, you know, through everything.
So it's relative to the observer, whichever perspective you're viewing, whether it's the father or the mother. The soul turtles all the way down, the souls all the way down.
But it's like a beautiful marriage, because the beautiful marriage, you never, you know, they function as one unit, you know. And
Right,
so,
that's
yeah.
the big myth, is that isn't in existence. Like, we have to go looking for it. It's already here.
Yeah.
It's not
Exactly, yeah.
something we have to invent. It exists. We just have to train with it. We have to connect to in our minds.
And I also think the divine feminine relates to your theme of the sacred nature of matter. When I think of the feminine aspect, it is the matter aspect. And so it's all about viewing that very differently than we did. You know, I think we in a way failed in our task in the Piscean age, because we were so abstracted from the matter aspect, but we failed to integrate the Virgo, which is the opposite sign. And that's our challenge in any duality, is to integrate with the opposite. In a way, we rejected the opposite in that age. And so now in Aquarius, we have to integrate with Leo, and we have to succeed somehow.
We have to ground it and manifest it. You know,
Yeah.
have to embody it.
Yeah.
Wonderful discussion, everybody. Thank you. And those of you listening, we thank you for being part. Just a reminder that the exact time of the new moon is in about 3 hours, 9:55 and 21 seconds, if anyone wants to know, Eastern time. And looking ahead, of course, we hope you come back to join us in 2 weeks for a continuation of this energy for the full moon in Virgo on Tuesday, September 17th. So we thank everyone here tonight for your presence and your radiation of light throughout.